everybody, it's Captain Kyle, and I'm here with a red knockoff version Combiner Wars Defensor. All the figures are exactly the same as the ones from Combiner Wars, only all of them are in red. I know this looks kind of like Inferno. This is not, I can assure you, Inferno. Though, you can always throw him in the mix if you want. But all the guys are red, and they come with all the same pieces. In fact, some extra ones too, so, which I find kind of interesting. But I'm gonna go through these guys, see how they stack up quality-wise, and we're gonna merge them into Defensor, or Hate Plague Defensor. I don't know why they're all red, but that could be a reason. And we'll see if they're good for your collection. Be right back. Now, before I get into these guys, I do want to point out my shirt from 80stees.com, Vote for Starscream. It's a very cool shirt. I love this shirt, and my old one was getting really, really bad. It was not from 80s Tees. The quality on 80s Tees is definitely up there, so they last much longer than other places. And they have an amazing amount of shirts. And not just Transformers, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and G.I. Joe, and Thundercat, and Goonies. Even Stranger Things, which is set in the 80s, so that kind of works. And if you use coupon code TOYSPOTLIGHT80, you will get 30% off your order. So thanks to 80stees.com for sponsoring this and many other videos on our channel. And let's get to these guys. All right, so each guy comes with their weapons and the foot fist thing. But let's start with the hotspot. So we'll put you guys over here. They kind of blend into the tablecloth. I will take a look at hotspot in vehicle mode. I mean, rolls about as well as Combiner Wars figure. Has all the same features, the ladder, the bucket. You can turn it in different ways. You can lift it up. He's got the two guns, which I've attached to the sides, which, you know, very handy for fighting fires. He's got the wheels in the front and the back that move. Though I have to say, these wheels are a little stiff, but they're probably stiff on all of the Combiner Wars things. Doesn't even really touch the ground, so not a big deal. So he's a good version in red, almost Guard City-like, of Hotspot. So let's take a look at him in his robot mode. Now, I usually don't do this, but I've had some requests to show how to transform these things, so I'm going to actually show you how to transform this guy into Hotspot. So it's pretty quick and easy. It's probably not the order that's in the instructions, because it's so long since I've checked out the instructions, but you separate the back and pop the arm part apart. So you have his two arms there. If you flip this chest shield down, you can bring up his head, which looks a lot more like Hotspot than it does look like Inferno. Now this ladder thing here can flip around. You basically flip it around and put the ladder up his back. His legs separate. The little windshield in the back flips up to become his feet. And you push, there's a little tab in here on each leg that if you pop it out, you basically extend the leg. And then you just twist his legs around so he's facing forward. Now, the two little wings can plug into the ladder in the back to kind of keep that in place. And there he is in robot mode. Give him his weapons, of which he has two guns. And there you go, Red Hotspot, or whoever the main guy of Guard City is. I don't know his Japanese name. But there he is, Hotspot. Now, as far as posability, the Combiner Wars guys are actually pretty good. He can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, only he's suspended in the air by the fact that he's got a ladder down his back. I suppose you could push that back and then he can actually kind of hit the ground. The legs, some ratcheting noise, but they bend forward. He's got this knee joint that bends, though, just like the regular Combiner Wars, you gotta be careful the leg moving like that. No ankle swivels, but that's all right. He does not twist at the waist at all, but his legs are pretty posable. They have swivels. You can move his legs out to the side. Arms, full range of motion there. They can go out to the side. They have a swivel right above the elbow joint. Fists don't turn, but if he bends up the elbow, it's not really necessary and probably adds some complexity to this guy. The head turns very freely. It's not loose, but it's not stiff to turn. And he can kind of look down. He wants to, you know, there's a human down there. Gotta do something about that. But quality-wise, I'd say he's about on par with the actual Combiner Wars Hotspot, or even Inferno. Well, I have in a box somewhere. I haven't even taken him out. So there he is, and the red coloring makes him look a bit like Hate Plague or a little bit like Fire Convoy, but even a little bit like Inferno, but different transformation schemes. So yeah, definitely a lot more like Fire Convoy or, you know, Hotspot. So there's that one. Now, we have Groove. Now, Groove is kind of cool. He comes with the foot fist thing. They included 2 guns instead of just 1. So I actually have 2 guns for him. And they are pegged so you can put 1 on each side, which is nice. It's not pegged on the same side. And he's basically a motorcycle. The wheels, you know, he's gonna skid out if you don't hold him while you're rolling him. But he rolls fine. He's got handlebars here. I don't know exactly how you would ride this bike. It looks a little bit like the ones in Galactica 1980, but that was one of the few cool things about that show.
These things look like the vehicles we saw in the Earth transmission. Right.
And again, the coloration is red. He's got the nice blue windshield. And what else can you say? It says police here. And when you put the guns on the side, and you can even put this on the top with the cannons out, it's really a motorcycle that I wouldn't want to mess with. A little stiff putting that on the top, but it works. All right, robot mode. And again, if you've transformed any of the Combiner Wars stuff, it's pretty much the same. The arms are down here. You pull them out. They have little tabs that plug in to his chest. Just take them out. Here's your kickstand, and then move them to the side. Now, during the transformation, I turned his head around. May not need to do that, but there's his head. So the bike part comes off. You can turn that around to bring it in a little bit closer. The whole thing comes back, and this whole front assembly turns. Then you can plug it into his back, and it's just a little wheel backpack. The feet actually come apart, so you can extend the legs. I do actually love the fact that Combiner Wars and a lot of the modern non-G1 stuff, instead of having sliding things, have these collapsible parts. That way it doesn't like slide back in over time. So you slide those out, you bring the legs back together, you can pop apart the wheel as you pop apart the legs. The wheels halves fold, and then you just turn him at the waist, twist him around, and there he is, Groove. I don't see, even though there's the tabs here, those are more for vehicle mode, so I think this is pretty much it. If I turn the wheel around, maybe I can push that down a little further. So don't turn the wheel around, but that's good for some things. I think combining it might be handy, or it might not be. He has 2 guns instead of 1, so that's a bonus. So he can be like, say hello to my little friend. Oh, that's a different shirt, but he'll be like, I'm gonna kill you all. Groove's not that violent, but now he has capacity to be real violent. And of course you can put this in his hand if you want to as well, but let's put that aside. Posability wise, he can kind of do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, his crotch doesn't hit. And you can lean him back on his wheel, so that kind of helps. He does bend at the knee, though let me straighten out his joint a little bit here. His knee joint, because of his transformation, you can get it so it's pretty well flush, and he can bend his knees pretty well. He can do side kicks. Got a full range of motion there, goes forward and back, so. And this part just popped off. Luckily, it's real easy to pop it back on. I don't think that's any different than the Combiner Wars one, but pop that in. It doesn't have ankle swivels, so, but pretty sturdy if you spread his legs and put him in a dynamic pose. Even because he's got nice heels, he can be pretty dynamic in his posing. He does twist at the waist. It's like the upper legs, so you can actually twist him as well. And his arms, obviously he bends at the elbow. He's got a nice ball joint on his shoulder, so his arm can go in all kinds of directions, all the way around, can go out to the side. Because of his transformation, he can shrug. Oh no. Or you can push them down a little further, so he can be dejected. But good posability on the arms. Fists don't twist. Head does turn. He's got this glowy stuff on the back. And even from the back, he looks, he's got the front of a motorcycle hanging off his back, so it's not exactly subtle that he changes into a motorcycle, but overall, he's a lot better than the original G1 and identical to the Combiner Wars Deluxe version, not the little tiny Legends version. You can probably put on the chest of this, but it doesn't come with one, and basically a target. So there he is, and of course he's got his accessory. All right, so that was Groove. Now, I have to say, he slides well, but I've not found that a lot of the modern Transformers roll all that well. He's got this piece on the bottom here that kind of extends a little bit past the wheels, so I think it keeps the front wheels from hitting the ground. And I don't think that that's any different than the Combiner Wars one. It looks like a car, doesn't roll like a car. I'm gonna take that off. He only came with one weapon. Looks like a riot gun, which is kind of cool. He's got the police detailing and the stars. He's a cool looking, sporty police chase vehicle. Little painted top lights on the top. Looks pretty good from all angles. That's a heck of an exhaust pipe there. But there he is, vroom vroom, doesn't roll very well. Transforming him. This time I think we're gonna start with the legs. So we're gonna pop apart the legs. Actually, we can also pop back. So this opens up and you can pop back the entire front. So we'll start with the front. We'll also open up the legs in the back, swing them out. Now his exhaust hose here, flip to face the other direction. And he's got a little plastic joint here so that you can extend his leg. Get that in place, put it back together. Same thing on the other side, just no exhaust pipe. You got his feet. His fists fold out, and you just pull his arms out to the side. You twist him at the waist to present the better part of his legs. And this folds out. It's got a nice little chest shield. And there he is, Streetwise. Give him his riot gun. And of course you could put this in his other hand if you really want to. It's a weird looking gun, but I've seen weirder. So he's well armed. Oh, I'm gonna take this off though. I don't like the look of that. So we're gonna just look at his posability. He can do a full, pretty much toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. Though of course the thickness of his legs means his crotch doesn't hit the ground and he wobbles backwards. But he's got the pivot on his thighs. He bends at the knee, kick out to the side. It's got a nice ball joint here, gives full range of motion back and forth. So good posability on the legs. Because of the transformation, you can twist him at the waist, which is nice. His arms, full range of motion, little ball joints. So his arm can go all the way around. You can actually bring it out to the side. Obviously bends at the elbow. Fists are not twisting at all. Don't do that. You'll break it. And again, because of the nature of his transformation, you can kind of make him shrug or put his arms down as he's kind of dejected. I'm feeling so unwise, even though I'm streetwise. Yeah, the jokes get worse. So there he is. A good version of Streetwise and the head. It turns, but because of this hinge here, kind of interferes a little bit, but you can kind of get it past it. So he can look to the side, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult. I don't know how much he'd be turning his head anyway. All right, next one, blades. I attached this on the bottom just for storage purposes, but I'm gonna put that aside. He only comes with the one gun, which I will remove now. But he's a decent helicopter. The blade spins around. Let me push that back into place there. Damn it. Nice satisfying snap. But yeah, the rotors turn. He's got the back rotor that does not turn. He's well armed with missiles. This is a rescue vehicle. What are they rescuing him from? You know, rescuing people from with all these missiles. Obviously, this was used for Alpha Bravo and Vortex. Same mold, but nice. And again, in the red, sleek helicopter. And if you look at the bottom, you can see his face. Ooh. So as he's flying along, people are like, hey, look, it's Blades or Hate Blade. So, cool vehicle mode. Let's take a look at the bot mode. Now, arms just pop out from the sides. Now, his legs are the nose cone. Pop those open. Then you can pull up the rotor to help unlock those. Now, his legs do open up, though it's much easier to do that once you take his nose cone, plug that into the side, flip up the top of the canopy, form his feet, and then you can open up his legs like that. And then swing out for his long legs. Pop that back in, twist him around so he's facing the right way. And then you have this piece, which pulls back, and you just flip it up. It actually does have little posts here that you stick it into, and you can work with the rotors a number of ways. You can flip them up like this and like have them hidden behind his tail fins. But there he is in robot mode. Now I will say, and I'm not sure if this is a thing that happens with Combiner Wars 1 because I actually have it in the garage and I haven't really looked at it, but you know, this post is supposed to stay in here, sometimes slips out. Not a big deal. You can give him his gun. I'm not gonna give him this one, but he looks good. The legs can swivel. You can hear a little squeaking. They go back and forth, and yes, he can pretty much do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. But nice knee joints. Again, no ankle swivels, but you can balance him, and he could be in some dynamic poses. Because again, of his transformation, he does twist at the waist. His arms, ball joints, all the way around. And in addition to his gun, he has these nice missiles on his arms, so he can really get you. Head does turn, no real problems turning it. And there he is, Blades. Last but not least, supposed pacifist, first aid. All right, so there he is in vehicle mode. He kind of rolls. I mean, the wheels are not that good. You can roll them manually, but at least on this surface, his back ones at least roll on the tablecloth. But there he is. Now, he actually came with an extra axe. The post is on the same side, so I had to reverse it on the one side, but he came with 2 axes instead of 1. So much for pacifism. But he is a ambulance/rescue vehicle, SUV style, and that's pretty much his vehicle mode. It does say emergency on the side, on the nice blue detailing. But let's get him into his robot mode. You can see his face there on the bottom. So he's a little bit interesting because his arms reach back into his legs. So pull those out first, makes it a little easier to get the legs taken care of. You can flip the legs forward. There's a little tab there, unpop it. And they're a little stiff, but he's got these little joints in here. You can wiggle to put his legs out like so. And then when you maybe straighten them out a little bit more, add a little bit of bitty joints in here. And then you close up the legs. Looks like that actually plugs in there. So there's little posts on these knee joint type things, and they plug right in. So he's standing, his arms are out. This part will bring the arms all the way like that, hold them up. And basically the front of the car forms kind of a shell. Got these little holes on the side, right in there. Well, little posts that go into these little slots. But there he is, first aid. Let's give him 2 axes. Yeah, this does not look like a pacifist to me. We're not gonna give him that. He's got enough. Now his leg ball joints here do allow you to put him pretty much in a split, but this one just popped off. This one may not be quite as much quality as the Ezra one, but it's pretty close. He almost has a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. He can bend at the knee, he can kick out to the side, and this ball joint on one of his legs is a little funky, but he also can pivot at his thigh, this at the waist, quite nicely and freely. His arms, now he's got the doors on his arms, but with a little bit of maneuvering, you can get it all the way around if you want. Bends at the elbow in both directions, so that's handy for chopping people to bits. Or, breaking through doors if it's an emergency and, they don't have a key. The head does turn. There's his rear view. It's first aid. It's a Combiner Wars. Most of the deluxe size figures are around 6 inches tall. Of course, Hotspot's a little taller, but not by too much, maybe 7.5 inches. So, and of course, I'm including their accoutrement, like the blade. That makes them about 6 inches tall. So they scale pretty well with the modern figures. But there's the team. Now, let's merge into guards, whatever you want to call him. Could be shattered glass defensor. He could be a number of things. So to prepare Hotspot for the transformation, I put his head away. I flip forward this, put his head away. And with him, now this, when you open these little panels on the side, that is where the arms are going to plug in. So you basically take the fist and you bend it up, and there's a little post here, and you just punch it in to that little hole, kind of hold it into place. Those will actually be in the back, so it's not a big deal. There he is so far. Now this is where the lower guys are going to plug in. You can turn the legs around because that is going to be the front. So you might want to have the best part of the leg forward. This ladder opens up. First of all, the chest shield there. You pop that out from here so you can turn it around and push it down like so. Now what's interesting with him is you bring this down from the chest, and then between his legs is where you put the ladder. So when it folds, it's got these 2 little protrusions there. You bring it around the back and then forward, these 2 little pegs on the top, pop in, then you open up these flaps. Now I've seen where it's supposed to go flush flat, but I don't think that can happen the way his arms are. So I get as flat as I can, assemble the head and turn it around. It's basically flip and forward. So it kind of snaps into place, squeezes into place. So there's the main body of Defensor. I'm gonna put his legs down like so in preparation. Now you can also fold his legs back up, makes him a little more sturdy, I believe, just as if you're transforming him back into his vehicle mode. Yes, and turn them to the side, and you can put his legs down like that, so he is ready for insertion. Oh, and you want to open up his chest shield all the way. There's little pegs on the side, press into, that are on the arms of Hotspot, and there he is, ready for merging. So I like using Streetwise and Groove as the legs. So here we have Groove. Now you flip around his head down, and there's the part that goes into Hotspot to form Defensor. Now the legs, you want to shorten them up, so you open them up, and it's just as if you're transforming him back into his vehicle mode. He's got a peg on the bottom there. Now you could try to keep the legs extended, but it may not be as stable that way, so you can also twist it around so that his feet are in front. It looks a little nicer. As you can see, I'm not exactly referring to instructions here. Now the arms on the side, you just kind of bring them down, and you can bend them at the the elbow. You could also, if you want, put the arms straight down. And some people show the gun attached in merged mode. So he's got an extra gun, so I'm not sure what to do with that. The foot fist thingy right there, it's in foot mode. That's the heel, that's the toe. Now, if you have extra ones of the feet, you can always use those instead. And then you just attach it, sliding it right in the back there. Streetwise, you pretty much turn him back into a car for the most part, and just make sure that his tailpipe is pointing downward. Pop that together. Now his head here, you can flip that back into the top of the car, right there. Flip up that joint, add his little foot fist thingy. I'm sorry, you don't slide it in from the back, you slide it in from the front. There he is, he's got two legs to stand on so far. Blades, pretty simple. Take off his weapon. His head goes back like so. And that's the spot that will attach. Now his legs, you wanna, in this case, I'm not gonna shorten them up. I'm just gonna leave them out. That gives you a nice elbow joint for Defensor. So you put his legs together, kind of put them to the side. Usually shown in pictures with the toes there. The arms gets basically twisted that their missiles are pointing away from the main body. Flip that together. Now on the foot fist thingy, you gotta pull out the fingers and swivel this so that he actually has a fist. You can also combine Hotspot's guns. You give him one big gun, which plugs right into this hole here. And then you just push and slide into the top there. All right. Basically, it looks like Defensor. His face is a little gray, and getting these axes out. You can hear that. They're in there tight. That one wasn't so tight. Up to you if you get two axes, if you want to use both. Push his legs together. The head again goes back to form that particular piece there, the arms. Push them back as if you're doing vehicle mode. Leave them out. And put the leg fists away. I'm sorry, the fists away from the Defensor side. Again, you want to make sure. Thing with, I think, all of the Combiner Wars things is the legs that are together to form the whole sometimes pop apart. You may be able to maneuver this top a little bit, make it look a little bit better, like so, but same thing with the foot fist thingy. Pop out the fingers, which in this case are being a little stubborn, so we'll just hook them out. There's the fist. We move the thumb in the appropriate direction, attach, push it in a little bit, and slide it down. This one would be a little bit of a pain in the ass. There we go. And there you have him, Red Defensor. Now I've also seen where they turn the legs like this for attaching the legs. That works, but I think it's easier to do it that way. Now, on Defensor, how posable is he? Well, the legs can move forward and back. I'm not even gonna try a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well, we'll try a little bit, but you can kind of do a split, not all the way down. So the legs move forward and back. Because of the joint, you can bend at the knees. Not really an ankle swivel, unless you're using the actual feet that come, the actual feet that come with a combiner main, then you probably don't want to try to do an ankle swivel thing. He does have elbows, so I just popped off the arm here. I am not one to really test the limits of a combined form. See how posable he is? I just kind of put them in combined form and leave them. He does have elbows. The arms move up and down. Sometimes, there we go. You can use the actual arm or you can use the joint on hotspot. So he's got a couple different ways. The head can turn, so you can look around. That popped out. I hate when that happens. I mean, it's a Combiner Wars Defensor, who I understand is not the most beloved of the Combiner Wars figures, but he's pretty much on par with the actual Hasbro one. He looks good. He's just in red. Now this guy goes on AliExpress when he's available for about anywhere from $25 to $40 depending on the vendor. The store that I bought it from is apparently out of stock on the red version, but I will try to link below to any red versions. I will scour, see if I can find them, because I'm always looking for different color versions of Transformers. I love repaints. I'm a weirdo, but you know, I also am on YouTube. But comes with all these extra weapons and very cool version. If you still need a regular Defensor, I will also put a link to the Combiner Wars knockoff of him, which, like I said, they're pretty much identical to the original Combiner Wars stuff. Same good parts and same kind of bad parts. And of course, be sure to head over to 80stees.com and you might be able to find some Defensor related shirts or Starscream or any of your favorite Transformers or any of your favorite stuff from the 80s. And don't forget, use coupon code TOYSPOTLIGHT80 to get 30% off your order. You definitely want these high quality shirts that are gonna last you a long time. And while you're mulling over this Defensor, I have a link to the Combiner Wars knockoff regular Defensor right over here that you can check out. Doesn't have quite as many instructions, but same figure. Might not have come with groove in this size. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead, you can do that. Hit the notification bell, comment, like, share. Super thanks are awesome. We'll see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.